Well, Paul, I think if AJ Styles gets to have a match against Shinsuke Nakamura, a first ever WWE one-on-one match with CM Punk, they're kind of signaling to people this is it. Like, a couple last little dream matches for Styles left. I know, Styles is paying lip service to I want to entertain people, or I want to compete for the full year. Cole saying tells Gunther he wants to entertain people for another year. But really they're signaling, I think, to savvy viewers. Yeah, we're sneaking in a couple last-second matches. And one of the stories on Saturday might be, was it smart of AJ to wrestle 2 times in the week leading up to facing Gunther before he loses and retires? But I don't know that for sure. I mean, I got to say, they might be, playing 3D chess with us and going, let's make people think he's losing, but there's going to be some sort of a non-finish like we saw in the main event tonight, something that kind of leads to Gunther insisting he wants another chance to end AJ Styles' career, and it happens later. Kind of give me your thoughts on the Styles retirement week or so that we've had and what's to come.
I agree. I really like this stip. The fact that it's happening at a time we wouldn't expect it so early in the year adds a lot of drama. I could see it. I could see things going either way. And the fact that they've been talking so much about this, retirement year of AJ Styles, it does make me think it's not going to happen. But I could see things going either way. They've really done a nice job in heating up AJ and making this an intriguing situation.
What'd you think of AJ and Punk in the ring as a match? Did it look like, because I say this because like Punk is like, there's people like us, and he's saying the same thing to Finn Balor, people like us, the people who are advanced in their careers, a lot of mileage, a lot of wear on the tread. I was, by the way, as a little sidebar, so don't forget, we gave Triple H a hard time for saying, we're the last of the Smash Mouth wrestlers to Undertaker back in the day, kind of saying, oh, when we retire, it's the last of a kind. Punk kind of did that tonight too. There's not many people like us left. I mean, what he means are, the guys who I don't know what he means. I can't read his mind, but I assumed the way I look at it is the guys who made a name for themselves on the indie circuit. People said they couldn't make it because they're too small, too thin, too rebellious. And then here they are headlining with the biggest corporate wrestling company out there with the biggest audience. Kind of assume that's sort of what he meant, but it did come across a little bit like, yeah, once we're retired, no sense watching anymore. Not quite as bad as John Cena saying he's the last world champion after turning babyface over and over and having the ring out to do it. But that said, it was a the statement by Punk to Styles frames things like we are part of a special breed, and then they go out there in the ring and the fans are sort of, they're into it and they're chanting this is awesome and all that, but it wasn't like a red hot match. God, was it 10 years ago Styles faced Jericho on Raw, and I wrote this would have been a lot better 10 years ago. Or what was the match? It was some other match. Maybe it was that. I don't know. I just posted it today. I'm already forgetting. But like a lot of times careers last a lot longer than we think, and wrestlers have really good matches a lot longer than we think are possible. Maybe not athletically where they were when they were 29 or 30, 31. But you still want to see them wrestle. And then Gunther, of course, had a good comeback to that, which is, stop stealing our moments. It's time for me to have mine. So anyway, yeah, what long-winding question. What do you think of the match, and what do you think about the place of Punk and Styles in terms of rounding out their story with performances like this?
Yeah, so I think Styles still has it. I think he's still fantastic. Really a big contrast at age 47 to the 48-year-old Punk, who his cardio is just really poor. He just seems like he's sucking wind so fast, so quickly into the match. And I struggle to think of a wrestler who seemed to have that limited conditioning. That said, of course, he's so phenomenal on the mic that I'm talking about Punk. That is he earns it. That said, this was on the higher end of CM Punk matches. I thought he did well for himself, and he looked like he belonged. And I've been pretty critical of some of his recent big matches.
There's a comment from Ashley here. I wasn't expecting a clean finish, rather an interference with the ref distracted type of deal. Definitely some criticism in the chat for this match. Gilbert Arbalo says the crowd was flat for the main event. Derek Mitchell says WWE's guilty of not giving a clean finish. Finn's frustration not being included in the Royal Rumble because it's full, and one other shot at Punk. It does project AJ against Gunther. Real Legend jokes, never seen anyone denied a Royal Rumble spot because it was full. We can talk about that a little bit later, too. Derek Mitchell says, I have to be honest, anyone expecting a clean finish tonight with Balor and even Gunther lurking is fooling themselves if you don't follow the beads of WWE. But Adam Kidd says, just to round out these comments, don't book a main event if you're afraid of a clean finish. Now, I get some matches. I'm not an absolutist, Paul. I think it's okay to have non-finishes, even in some Raw TV main events. I think you can justify them individually. I think you can justify this one individually. Two baby faces battling it out, putting it all out there valiantly, their first and perhaps last singles match in WWE, and a bitter heel who there's a backstory to it. It wasn't a cop-out finish. I think they wouldn't have had a huge problem with Punk beating Styles with a leverage pin or a GTS, or a count-out for that matter, and just frame it as, hey, it happens sometimes. But they had a story here, and they're telling a story, and this finish served a purpose. My issue consistently is Paul Levesque justifies these finishes. Individually, you can a lot of the time. It's just too often in the course of things, and you end up having fans disinvest in match outcomes, and they just think, well, was I sufficiently entertained before the non-finish that helped forward a storyline that I'm supposed to be invested in?
So true. Yeah, I have to say they got me with this one. I didn't see it coming. I was in the moment. I was enjoying it. So it wasn't obvious to me that this was going to end in a non-finish. I did think that AJ Styles could have handled a loss, and yet, but you're right. I mean, it really it takes away from the product as a whole when there's so often booking these matches that they have no intention of giving us a finisher.
Yeah. Adam Kidd just says, WWE just does it way too often, Wade. As far as your comments about Punk's performance in the ring that I asked about, Adam Kidd says, I'm 48. I will not criticize Punk's cardio because I would have a heart attack within 3 minutes. Well, you're not asking people to pay $200 to be in an arena to watch you perform. I'm sure you're very good at what your specialty is, Adam, and you shouldn't. It's kind and charitable of Adam to say that, but sometimes people dismiss wrestlers' obligation. I don't know, obligation's a strong word, but you're asking people to pay to see you. So you're a public figure and you should still be able to go. And if you can't, then, accept criticism. I mean, it doesn't mean you have to retire, but accept the criticism of the reality that you can't go like you used to, or blame the promoter for over pushing you or whatever. But yeah, so I mean, just a little. I mean, I don't mean to turn your nice comment, Adam, into a negative, but honestly, we should hold wrestlers to high standards. They're getting paid millions of dollars in the case of AJ Styles and CM Punk. I mean, they're making millions and millions of dollars a year. They should be able to not seem like they're only slightly better at not having a heart attack than a 48-year-old fan in the crowd or at home. Sadler version 3 goes, yeah, Punk's star power and mic skills are carrying him at this point. He's declining quickly in ring. So anyway, don't want to beat up on that. I mean, he's, obviously, I think very aware of his limitations at this point, I suspect. As far as Styles' thing, I don't want to get in conspiracy theories, but Adam Kidd said AJ said at first his WWE career would be coming to an end, but then he said retire. But I'm sure I'm not the only one reading into that. So maybe some people think Styles will wrestle after WWE. I have not heard that's the case. As far as the conversation with Punk about we're the last of a kind, and I said this, it can look bad, but I think hopefully most people see it for what I think was meant, which is Sadler says, yeah, I just assumed he meant guys from that era, the mid-2000 indie stars. And Derek Mitchell says, yeah, Punk essentially saying we're a dying breed like us who wrestled in the indies or Japan in our mid to late 40s, still in WWE. And I do think that's what he meant, but you got to be careful because you want to leave things in a better place. And I think Punk's heart is in the right place. I mean, I think he wants to coach and work with younger guys and be part of that. So it's not his character. I will not say it's not Triple H's character a little bit to want to be seen as the last of a certain kind. The guy who, man, Paul, he made it finally. He's on the cover of a video game. I mean, after all these years, Paul Levesque, totally underpushed, underappreciated, just this workhorse who never got the acclaim he deserved, finally gets his due. I don't know who's looking out for him in WWE to make this happen, but it's about time.
Yeah, other people really have to, because he wouldn't put himself over in that way. Absolutely not.
Yes. Intentional rounding. Welcome to the chat. Says Punk has always admitted he's unathletic, a bit of a klutz. I was just hoping he didn't take the Styles Clash the wrong way. Breathed a sigh of relief when he didn't. I feel that way about every single Styles Clash. I was at an indie show once. This was like 15 years ago. And AJ Styles, I was in the locker room, and AJ Styles was working with a local indie wrestler, good athletic guy from a local indie scene, and he was advising him. He was wrestling him for the first time ever, and he was advising him how to take the Styles Clash. And I always remember he goes, your natural tendency is to tuck a certain way, but on this one you got to tilt your head back, not tuck forward. Remember that, like it. I've had wrestlers tell me it's not hard to remember, don't worry about it. But one guy I know took it wrong, and others sometimes it's like, oh God, are they, you get your bell, as they used to say, you get your bell rung in a match, you kind of lose track of what's going on, and then suddenly you get a move, and you just think always tuck and roll, and if you do that, you break your neck with the Styles Clash. So, wrestlers have told me, wait, don't worry, because I've said like I worry every time I see a Styles Clash. No, we got it, don't worry about it. So I'm not worried about it anymore. But there's that little moment when it's going up, and you're like, oh, good. He tilted his head back, not forward. So
never forget the promotional wrestler who took the Famouser wrong and broke his neck in the early 90s.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's pause and introduce ourselves in the show here, and then we'll get on to other topics. We got Ian on hold to join us as a caller, and we'll continue to incorporate the chat into things. A lot more topics to cover on the show in the lead up to the Royal Rumble this Saturday at 2 Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific, by the way. Don't like suddenly get home from afternoon events at like 5:30 and look at social media and find out who won the Rumble and think you're about to tune into the pre-show. So that's your friendly reminder. This is the Wade Keller Pro Wrestling Post Show for Monday, January 26, 2026. I'm Wade Keller, host of the show, editor, publisher, founder of the Pro Wrestling Torch weekly newsletter, the website PWTorch.com, and the host of the Wade Keller Pro Wrestling Post Shows following Raw, Dynamite, and SmackDown every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. The last 2 weeks, I also hosted a live TNA Impact Post Show on Thursday nights. Those, by the way, went up on the PWTorch Dailycast feed, accompanying Wrestling Night in America and the NXT Talks, PWT Talks NXT post shows, which are on that feed. So check that out if you haven't yet. Search PWTorch in your podcast app to subscribe and catch up on that. Impact, by the way, holding up well in the ratings this week, 171,000, according to my industry source with access to the ratings, 173,000 last week. So even though it was what scored like a 1.8 on Cage Match out of 10, 1.8 on, not out of 5, out of 10, they held their viewership well. The key demo dropped quite a bit. We'll have we got some details on that on PWTorch. We'll have more later this week. I also got minute by minute numbers for the premiere on AMC. And I'll be analyzing that in the Wade Keller News Bulletin for VIP members probably tomorrow. We can see how the trends worked with different segments a week and a half ago. So anyway, this Sunday, speaking of post shows, Greg Parks back hosting Wrestling Night in America after the Royal Rumble. So tune in on the PWTorch YouTube channel, which is where I host these post shows. And you can listen to it on delay, on demand, as most of you do on the podcast side of things, by searching PWTorch and subscribing to the PWTorch Dailycast feed. And of course, while you're at it, if you're discovering us on YouTube or streaming our show from our website, subscribe on your podcast app. Search Wade Keller, subscribe to the red logo show and the blue logo show. Tomorrow, the Wade Keller Pro Wrestling Podcast weekly flagship will be recorded. It'll be dropped on Tuesday night. And I am excited. It is, I think, becoming a tradition. Kelly Wells from PWT Talks NXT will be joining me because he is the #1 fan of the Royal Rumble. He is obsessed with that match, and I got to do a podcast with him any year that we can make it work to talk about it. So he'll be with me to preview the men's and women's Rumble and talk all things WWE Rumble, and including the supporting matches too. We'll talk some NXT and other topics also. So if you have questions for the flagship tomorrow, which again is dropping exclusively on our podcast feed, search Wade Keller, subscribe to the blue logo show. If you have questions for us, send to Wade Keller podcast at gmail.com. That's Wade Keller podcast gmail.com. Any questions about the Rumble, you can make your predictions. If you make a prediction and send us an email, we'll read it on the air, and then you can claim you were right, or you'll be on record being wrong, one or the other. But go ahead and send in your predictions or rank who you think the odds are of who's going to win. Don't believe anyone who says they know, because plans change. We'll have even mentioned that in the Wade Keller News Bulletin last week, how a lot of plans changed because of a couple people pushing for change. So anyway, so I mentioned those Wade Keller News Bulletins and VIP membership. I just quick plug here, PWTorch.com/GoVIP. Go VIP. Don't miss out on my exclusive insider tidbits and my big picture perspective that makes its way to VIP members, or just additional micro details that give you the next layer of knowledge of what's going on, including those minute-by-minute numbers from the first Impact, which we'll have probably tomorrow for VIP members. Tons of other benefits. Over 20 years of podcast available on demand. Roundtables after every Royal Rumble since 2004, I think, maybe 2003. Plus hundreds of retro radio shows from the 90s, including some of my KFAN. KFAN is in the news with that Paul Allen controversy. Man, just very disappointed. But back when I was on KFAN, I had I did the live Sunday morning. It was mostly Sunday mornings, and so we had some Rumble post shows during that run too, with a live caller format. So lots of cool stuff when you go VIP. Full details over on that site, pwtorch.com/govip. We'll tell you all about how to sign up, credit card, debit card, PayPal, Patreon, or your Apple account with your iPhone. All kinds of ways to sign up. And you also get an ad-free version of our website and a commercial-free version of this show and all of our free shows. So lots of cool perks. Check it out. But we're here to talk Raw, and we have a live chat going on. Join them in the chat. It's a great community if you haven't yet, if you're watching us live. And also you can send emails, wadekellerpostshow@gmail.com. And you can call the show. The link to be a caller is in my TV report at pwtorch.com. Or pwtorchvip.com if you're a VIP member. That has a link to become a video caller, or you can turn off your camera and be an audio-only caller like in our Blog Talk Radio days. You don't have to put your face on TV and show us, your messy house or what a bad camera you have or whatever reasons, or that you haven't shaved today. You can still be part of the show. My co-host is Paul Weigle. He is a PW Torch contributor. Paul, welcome back to the co-host chair.
Thanks. In New England, we got dumped on by 16 inches of snow, but I think we've dug ourselves out and ready to talk some pro wrestling.
You are more used to it than a lot of people who got snowed on this week. Wow, that was quite the storm. Although I was, I want to make mention of what happened in Minneapolis on Saturday. I just can't believe I woke up to that news again on Saturday. And I'm so proud of Minnesota for standing up to, as I think former President Barack Obama well put it, ICE recruits. We shouldn't honor them with the term ICE officers or ICE agents. ICE recruits. And, many of them are experienced, well-trained veterans doing work that doesn't need to be done, that we were handling here just fine without them before it became a political show. But there's a lot more who are not qualified. And we saw that happen with what we saw with Alex Preddy on Saturday. I mean, for a guy to be protecting a woman from ICE agents who just shoved her to the ground and then to be shot and killed, who worked at the VA hospital. I have a lot of family connections to that hospital, and he was a nurse there. It's just horrible, and it needs to stop. It's absolute horrible political theater trying to solve a problem that was being handled more professionally, in a more low-profile way, effectively, before this whole show. And it seems like things are unraveling a little bit for that side of things today. At least some retreats, but it's not over. But I'm so proud of what Minnesota did Friday. Haven't had a chance to talk about it yet. With the massive tens of thousands of people protesting, especially the march in downtown Minneapolis. It's just incredible to watch. And
the frigid cold, no less.
Yeah, that doesn't. It affects us in that we're humans, and cold weather, if we're not dressed warmly, can kill us. But honestly, nothing's going to stop Minnesotans. The vast majority right now don't look at this as, well, I'm going to protest to do my job. It is a way of life for so many people in communities that I'm part of. I mean, where Paul Peretti was shot, there's a record shop my son goes to. There's a donut shop. That's my favorite donut shop. There's a sandwich shop. There's a huge line outside of it right now to support them. I poked my head in there this summer to see if they had sandwiches that I wanted to eat. These are great, safe, wonderful neighborhoods, and the immigrants are welcome and are wonderful, and they belong here. And just because you're not white doesn't mean you should be taken to a detention center without any accountability for what's happening to you, and have to prove that you're a citizen. I mean, it's abhorrent. That's not. I mean, people voted for, although they should have known better, someone who said they're going to go after the worst of the worst. And I guarantee I know that's not happening. They're wonderful people on track to become citizens who just aren't the right color, and others who are accepted and embraced as part of this community, and outsiders are coming in, and Minnesotans are letting them know how we feel about them. And I hope not. I mean, I hope they don't just leave Minnesota. I hope that the whole tactical approach gets radically overhauled. It is these last 2 lives shouldn't have to have been lost in order to make an obvious point that this is wrong. And it is. I know there's people I talk to, I won't name names, but who don't understand what's happening here. I mean, it's like every single day you're talking to neighbors on single chats, trying to figure out, are they in my neighborhood today? If they are, where do we go with our whistles? How do we help deliver food? A neighbor of mine just helped deliver 2,000 bags of necessities, food and other necessities, to families who can't leave the house. Costco has no people of color in it. I went to Costco today. Nobody of color. Because you can't leave the house if you're not white. Because ICE agents are stopping you. And even if you say anyway. And it is exponentially larger here than in any other city. And our response has been exponentially larger also. But it is, I mean, I can't tell you enough. Everywhere you go in this city, there are people coming together to look out for each other. And every day you wake up, you check the Signal chat, you check with your neighbors, you check your text messages, and you find out if you're needed on the front line of protecting people from being dragged from their cars and disappeared. Being taken to a detention center and then being shoved out the door without your phone and without a coat in the middle of the night. There's people stationed outside. I mean, it's inhumane and inexcusable what this government paid agency that's been, with a bunch of recruits who are improperly and undertrained, they're shoving people who are citizens who never should have been snatched up in the first place into the ice cold. There are now volunteers of people waiting outside that facility to give them rides and warmth and jackets and food when they get out, and to ask them, where do you live and how can we get you there? The Minnesota National Guard showed up to protect the protesters, to keep peace, to protect the protesters. And they showed up with pizza and hot chocolate for the protesters. Minnesota's National Guard took the side of Minnesota citizens. The Minneapolis police chief has taken the side of Minnesota citizens against ICE in as much as he's able to. Obviously, the mayor and the governor don't want him here. And it is, if it's coming to your city or your state, hopefully it doesn't. Hopefully this is a lesson to pull back on all of this. But if it does, be prepared and don't stay quiet. And, somebody emailed me, a longtime reader, and said, Wade, be safe. And my response was, safe isn't really our priority right now. Like, if you're white and you're privileged enough to not feel as at high risk, I mean, obviously a white man was killed protecting a white woman, I think, on Saturday. Nobody's safe, but safe isn't the goal. It's fighting back against fascism right now. That's the goal. And there is a risk that comes with that as a citizen. And all of us are doing our parts. I think a lot of us think we should be doing more. It's really bringing us together. And I think President Trump thought the George Floyd riots were going to happen here, and he could justify escalating things and use us as an example. And we learned from that, and we have come together from that. And the police chief has rebuilt trust to a great degree with people in this community. And our leadership has had to bite their tongue and tell people, don't give them a show, was Governor Walz's statement. Like, don't riot, don't break windows, don't create a scene, and we have come together and peacefully let those ICE agents know. And the ICE agents are understandably demoralized over this. They are not wanted here. I don't know if they actually thought they were doing good work, or they're just, I don't know. Anyway, got to get that off my off my chest a little bit. And yeah, I mean that's reality. And I feel like I need to share it because there's people who are like, hey, that doesn't, who are kind of like, I feel like some people pay attention enough to the news, or the news is serving them, but others I don't think understand what's happening here. JF Pollard says, I originally supported ICE, but now I feel they've gone way over the line with their actions. They should leave Minnesota. I mean, there's obviously immigration enforcement. It can be done in a way that isn't going to lead to tens of thousands of people protesting on the streets and the type of absolutely inhumane, unlawful actions that, I mean, it's just knocking phones out of people's hands who are filming. I mean, it's just, but when you're promised immunity and you get on a power, on this power trip, it's bad. So Eric Moy says, well put, Wade. Thanks for bringing this up. We support Minnesotans. Standard Deviation says, I don't even know what to say about it. It's all unbelievable. Ashley M says, have been thinking about you, Wade. Stay safe out there. Fan Blast says, I'll be honest, it's hard to think about wrestling entertainment. It almost feels disrespectful in current America. Steve Kerr, the coach of the Golden State Warriors, after Sunday's game at Target Center in Minneapolis, the game was delayed. It was supposed to take place Saturday afternoon. He said after Sunday's game, he goes, he's never been in an arena with that atmosphere. It was eerie. It just felt like, I don't know exact words, but like almost inappropriate to be playing sports just just over 24 hours after that man was shot in pulp. He was shot in the back multiple times while protecting a woman who got shoved violently by a much larger ICE agent.
Outrageous.
I mean, Standard Deviation says, thanks for doing what you do, Wade. Yeah, go ahead.
Thanks to Minnesotans.
Yeah, well, you're welcome. Yeah, there's a lot of them doing a lot more than me out there, and it's just, yeah, we're proud. We're proud. All right. GWF ESPN says it's a clown show like everything this administration touches. Standard Deviation said Wade literally warned us this was a possibility back when Trump was elected. Absolutely. All right. Let's. I could read more comments, but we'll move on. Thanks for letting me get that off my chest here. I think it needs to be said, and I'm hopeful we're turning the corner, or we're turning the. There's a lot of work to be done. There's definitely no victory party here. There's, stuff going on today that I see on social media. There's still a fight to be had, and still a lot of stunts to be pulled to try to, who knows what, stop the midterm elections later this year. False flag operations, all kinds of things that can happen. So stay on your toes, and let's get back to let's get back to flawed normalcy as opposed to fascist trying to destroy our constitutional democracy. And that is what's happening. If you don't think so, look up fascism. Just ask ChatGPT or Google, what is fascism? And it will tell you step by step, and it'll be familiar to you. This isn't, there's so many Republicans have spoken out against what's happening. Trust them. You trusted them 12 years ago before the orange guy rode down the escalator and ruined everything. Trust them again. They know what they're talking about. And the ones who are standing by him are, well, I don't know. They're compromised or in the cult. All right.
Protecting democracy certainly needs to be our top priority, and that's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. A. Milano says, what are you doing besides talking about it on a wrestling podcast? Yeah, I've gone to protest. I've donated money. I've been part of a watch group. I met with the local police chief in my town, just the new police chief, and a veteran police officer on the force. And I talked to both of them, the police chief for probably 15 minutes and the veteran officer for over a half hour, and then reported it back to a group of people who could not go because they might be grabbed by ICE, and as I promised, I'd ask certain questions to the police officers in our community and then relate it back to them in a signal chat I'm part of. Over the weekend, Aaron Rupar was doing a fundraiser of sorts for local food banks. And I used my platform as best I could on Saturday through social media, letting people know how they could subscribe to his Substack work, which is phenomenal, and covering this administration and everything going on. He's a fellow Minnesotan, but he's worked in D.C., and he did a profile on me and my family for City Pages back in the day, and I consider him a friend. And but he's Aaron Rupar's done amazing work covering Trump, and he was donating 100% of all subscriptions that day to a local food bank in town. That and other things. Yeah. All right. Good. Oh, one person just said Steve Kerr always speaks truth to power and is on the right side of history. Absolutely. Good job, Wade in Minnesota. JC Scooby speaking truth. There's January 6th insurrectionists who were pardoned by the president in ICE. So yeah. All right. Let's shift back to Raw and cover more here. Actually, let's bring Ian into the conversation. He can keep me from straying off, or he can, whatever. We'll see. Well, Ian, welcome to the show. What's on your mind tonight?
Finn Balor.
Yes.
Can't get in the Rumble because it's full. I think that was the laziest writing they could have ever given for that. What do you guys think?
I mean, he did.
All right, here's my case. Oh, go ahead.
No, but this is real quick, Paul. When you just get a world title shot the week before, and now you want to be in the Rumble to try to earn another one, that's getting greedy. You should, but Finn Balor's a heel. Go ahead, Paul.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, so as of last week, there was a 50% chance that Finn Balor was going to be champion. So they weren't going to hold a spot open for him. It's like usually they wouldn't hold a spot open for someone who's wrestling for the title on the card. So that's my defense. Of course, Akira Tozawa was getting in.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't have a clear established criteria for who gets to be in the Royal Rumble. And I mean, it's sort of first come, first serve in a way, or I don't know. It's sort of like the Continental Classic. We don't know. It's a secret. It's a secret what the qualifications are, or the criteria, I should say, is to get in it. But I mean, there was there was a Rumble once that was the greatest ever. It had 40 people in it. So I mean, we could do 31, 32. I mean, why stop at 30? Finn Balor's a legend. Let him come on, Adam Pearce. Don't be such a meanie. I know, Ian. You seem skeptical of this.
But then, okay, but I just remember this. Roman Reigns in 2017 loses to Kevin Owens in that no DQ match. Enters number 30 in the Rumble. Same night. What's the difference? Just saying. It's lazy writing.
No. I got you. I'm not making an excuse. I'm just acknowledging there isn't a stated criteria. It's not like if there was an objective criteria, which is, Finn Balor has if you have a certain win-loss record or a certain stature or years of seniority or whatever, you get like this formula decides whether you get to be in it or not. That never has been the case. And Finn Balor should have asked sooner. He asked 6 days beforehand. Maybe that's the problem.
Maybe that's the criteria.
Yeah, Pile Driver Pete has some great comments. He says, you just have to say, I declare myself. And he didn't say it.
Yeah.
He had a couple weeks there.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm willing to excuse them a little bit on this one, Ian, because I don't know. I mean, you just lost last Monday and you got a world title shot. Maybe having different goals. But
or maybe he wears a mask and that's how he gets in.
Yeah, or maybe he wears makeup and he's called.
There you go.
A different.
Or where's the demon mask? Maybe.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe we bring the demon back.
Hey, I wasn't gonna say the demon because if it's Finn Balor's plan, we don't want to reveal that that's him. You just
That's
ruined his. You got to change the name. Trying to think who's if like Honky Tonk Man is in it this year, I think Finn Balor has a reason to be very mad. Like if there's some well past their prime, Hacksaw Duggan shows up. I mean,
Chris Jericho. Sorry.
Yeah, exactly.
And somebody's getting ambushed on their way to the ring, and Finn Balor's taking their place, right? So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it is people just declare themselves and they get in, and so again, I go back to Finn Balor should have declared himself earlier. I don't know why he wasn't motivated till this week for it. Obviously, as Darrell Freeman says, I'm glad they didn't have a spot for Finn because this is a story they can tell with Finn. And I get Ian is saying, but what's the storyline canon explanation for him being left out? Anyway.
Yeah, I like I said, I think it's lazy writing. You could just say, well, you lost last week. I can't put you in the Rumble. Yeah. Maybe next week I can put you in an Elimination Chamber qualifying match or something.
Yeah. All right.
I think he should go ahead and declare himself for 2027 just to be safe.
There you go. Get you on the short list for 2027.
Yeah. All right. What else, Ian?
I was thinking about what you said about AJ and being risky. Do you think they have him ended at Rumble, or do you think he ends it at Mania? It's
Paul?
50-50 shot. I mean, do you think they have him lose to Gunther?
Yeah, we were talking about that earlier. They're laying seeds either way. I could see it going either way. I do like the idea of him losing at Rumble. It'd be surprising, and we just saw a whole year of a farewell tour. They've squeezed in some of the most important matches already, so I could see it ending. But I like how we're still guessing.
I think Styles loses, but I'm not convinced. I think Styles is ready or has been ready and didn't want to step on Cena, and they thought, hey, let's say 2026 is going to be your retirement tour, and we're going to surprise people by ending it quickly, and keep people on their toes. But I genuinely don't rule out a non-finish, controversial finish, more of like a double count type thing or something like that. Or then I don't know. I haven't thought it through in terms of like how you could ideally book it where it would make sense and forward things. That's their job, not mine, to work that out. But I think there's escape hatches from Gunther beating Styles. But the way they're having Styles wrestle tonight against Punk and against Shinsuke on Saturday, I mean, it does feel like he's winding down. And I mean, some wrestlers can get up for a match, but it's hard. You know what I mean? Undertaker obviously has documented that what a journey it was just for him to get ready for WrestleMania some of those years. So, I don't know. I mean, it's possible Styles really is just ready. Like he's so financial, unless he's, gambling money next to Nick Jackson at casinos or something, and losing all his money or something. I mean, he is making crazy money the last few years in WWE. He is in a favored class of multimillionaire people. So, if his body's broken down and he's ready to shift, good for him. I mean, there's no reason to stick around and be a shell of your former self.
And Wade, trust yourself, because you were correct about the Chris Jericho in 2016. That was their first match, was on Raw.
Yeah, and it was like day after the Rumble, wasn't it?
It was day after Rumble.
That's the only reason I just slightly doubted myself. I was like, wait a second, had the Rumble happened yet? Because that was, that. So anyway, yep. And in fact, I wrote Styles won in 13 minutes 45 seconds on the January 25th, 2016 Raw, and I wrote that would have been so much better 8 or 10 years ago, but it was still cool it happened. And I said the finish was a good one that gave Styles a legit win, but via leverage pin and not his finisher. So there's a bit of Jericho saving face there. So anyway, yeah. Check out PWTorch.com for my Raw flashbacks. We put up 3 back-to-back 10 years ago Raw reports if you want to see what was going on 10 years ago. A lot of Vince McMahon trying to get Roman Reigns over as a babyface.
I remember that. That was the Rumble where he defended the belt and Triple H won, wasn't it?
Yeah. And Roman had to wrestle the, quote, whole roster one week in the main event of Raw.
All against one. Dark times.
Yeah, all against one.
Yep.
Man, 10 years ago, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And now Triple H is on the cover, guys. Woo!
I'm glad someone's looking out for him. Man, he keeps getting overlooked. I mean, I know such a low profile Hall of Fame, entry. I mean, you barely knew. You barely knew it was happening in the weeks leading up to it. Barely gave him time to talk. Oh, I tell you. And what's with that Benny Hill?
How many covers does this video game have?
I think it's 4 editions they do now for 2K.
I hope they stop print on any of the others. It should all be Triple H. He had a good career. He should get credit for it. WWE
I think he's on cover of 3 of them this year. I think he had King of Kings, the Ruthless Aggression, and then the Monday Night War one. I think he's on 3 out of the 4 this year.
Man, the 4th one should be chief creative officer.
So who do you?
Yeah, Paul.
What'd you say, Paul?
I want bald-headed.
Seriously, who would you put on the cover of the? Who would you put on the cover of the game? Wade, what do you think?
Oh God, I put zero thought into things like that.
Well,
I don't know.
I thought they announced Jay or Punk because I know the showcase mode is Punk this year.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I don't know. Obafemi. Let's get ahead of things here.
Yeah. Maybe he declares it for next year.
Although his I don't know. I don't know if there's a Madden curse with WWE like there is in WWE, but anyway.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Last thing before I forget.
Is the man
by the way,
whoever's featured on the cover does poorly?
Yeah, and
he's
Darrell
just on
points
special
out.
edition, yeah.
Yeah, Darrell in the chat points out Triple H isn't the main cover. He's just on one for the special edition covers. I don't care. I just am glad he's getting his just due. I'm glad he's his face is on something. And I'm glad he got a video with Paul Heyman with Benny Hill music in the background to announce it. The zany dad zany dad humor version of DX is back, but with Paul Heyman and Paul Levesque now.
Who would have thunk it? Who would have thunk it in 2026?
Yep. Anyway, what else, Ian?
Yeah, last bit. Alpha Academy gets the win for the Usos. Do you think that's the chance they put the belts on them and they split up the Usos? Or do you think the Usos just bury them and just say, no, you don't need it?
I can't believe I'm saying this, but it's an intriguing decision to go with that match. It might not mean a lot. But I don't think they're going to have Otis and Tozawa beat the Usos as the way the Usos break up. I think there could be a seed planted if that's the direction they're going. But I think the Usos pull it out. I mean, I don't know. It's the tag titles. I guess they don't really have a huge stake in. I don't think they're too worried about besmirching the value of the tag titles. And frankly, Otis and Tozawa's good. I mean, Otis is fun. Yeah.
I mean, I think people overlooked the match. I think they could pull out a surprise roll-up win or something and have the Usos be surprised.
Sadler version 3 says, I actually made Tozawa work like a competent wrestler. Yes. Goodfella says, perhaps accurately, is it intriguing? I added the tone, but I think I know. Is it really intriguing, Wade? It's an intriguing choice to put Otis and Tozawa in a tag team title match. Yes. Paul, by the way, it looks like your screen is frozen. Is it frozen for you or just me?
It's frozen for me.
Yeah, it's frozen for me. Sorry, I'll see if I can reboot.
Okay. All right. I mean, it's a nice smile. You're laughing. You can just talk for a while.
Remember me like that. Wait. Yeah.
Yes. Fanblast said, I'm going to defend Trips. He's trying to be the face of the brand. You do that by showing your face. Perfect defense.
That is a good defense.
Super chat from Derek Mitchell. Thank you for the super chat. Those are always welcome. Did you know Alpha Academy, Chad Gable and Otis, last WWE Tag Team title match was against the Awesome Truth on the April 29th, 2024 Raw? I did not know that.
I didn't either.
Yeah. Thank you, Derek, for that.
We love Derek.
Goodfella says, Creed brothers are awesome. I hope we see them wrestle more. I cannot quite figure out the Creed brothers. I don't think WWE...
Do you think they're just waiting on Gable to come back from injury?
A lot of does feel that way. Like, yeah, they're just kind of spinning until they get it back and move into the next phase. Yeah. With the Creeds though, like there's a level with an aspect to them that is sort of like, don't take us seriously, and I don't know. I mean, I'm worried that they looked better than they're going to be for a while, and management's kind of figured that out. Obviously, there's a lot of athleticism there, but they're almost more Grayson Waller right now than like Kurt Angle, you know? I mean, or Chad Gable, and I don't know if you can undo that at this point. So
anyway. They're a competent tag team for sure. I just hate, they kind of get thrown to the wayside on a lot of things.
Yeah. Ian, anything else you want to bring up?
Well, Wade, I'm just glad you're surviving. One of my friends down there said it's negative 40 degrees in Minnesota right now, which is absolutely insane.
I mean, maybe wind chill. No, it's actually not. It's 13 degrees right now, headed for a low of 2 degrees. It was much colder over the last week for sure. But I mean, if you listen to, I think in the 10 years ago flagship with Jason Paul, I was talking about how it was like 8 degrees below zero 10 years ago. I mean, it's just early January to mid-February. It's cold. But I mean, I still go out and walk my dog. You just wear a hat and hood and gloves. And
you're used to the cold though by now. You got to be.
Oh, That's the thing. Like in Minnesota, when like mid-September comes and it's like 50 degrees, you're like, oh my God, I'm so cold. And now, like, I'm not kidding. I walk out in a short sleeve shirt in 0-degree weather, and like if I have to like roll the trash can out or something like that to the driveway, and it's like, I mean, I don't want to be out there for 20 minutes, but it's kind of like a cold plunge. It's kind of refreshing. Your body really does adjust.
Yeah, I mean it's 8 degrees right now in Tennessee, which is like everyone's like freaking out about it right now.
So it's 13 here. We are in January 26th. It is warmer in Minnesota than Tennessee at this moment by 5
Who would have
degrees,
thunk it?
if my math is right.
I mean, yeah, I mean, my wife and I were getting ready for NXT on Thursday. NXT Live is coming to Knoxville.
Oh, sweet.
So hopefully everybody's there.
Send us results if you can.
Yeah, I got you.
I'd love to put up a report on those house shows. Yeah, those are fun. I like NXT Live events because it's like that's when the people who they have hopes for get to practice without cameras what they hope they can be on TV. I think those are actually, in all honesty, I'd go to that in a second before a taped Raw or a live Raw or live SmackDown.
Yeah,
you can watch them at home and yeah.
I've never done an NXT Live before. I've done the NXT like pay-per-views, but I've never done NXT Live before, and we're really excited to go.
Yeah, I just went a couple months ago to one, and it was a blast. It was super fun. Otis was hilarious. I told the story back when it happened, but Otis was in a 6-man tag match, I think, and maybe it was 8. And he stood on the ring apron, and before when the bell rang, and then he turned around and looked at the first few rows and said, "I'm so sorry, but you're not going to see any of this match." Because he's so wide. He's like, "I'm really sorry, I'm blocking your view." It was like he apologized. Everybody laughed.
That's funny.
Yeah, there's like it's a lot of fun moments at house shows. So Goodfella notes, yeah, it's NXT. I've been to 3 to 4 live events. It's always a great time. Cool. Yeah. Sweet. All right, Ian.
Yeah. Thank you, man.
Thanks. Always good to hear from you. Oh, we can bring
always.
Paul. Paul, say goodbye to Ian now that you're back with us.
Bye, Paul.
Thanks,
Bye,
Ian.
Bye, Ian.
All right, let's bring Jason D from Australia into the conversation. Jason D, welcome. Looking forward to your thoughts here. What's on your mind?
Yeah, hey, Wade and Paul. Good to speak to you guys. I've got a few things to talk about. I want to talk about the vision, and I really enjoy the dynamic between Paul Heyman and Logan Paul. I like seeing them on screen, their characters, because these are two snakes trying to coexisting with one another. Logan Paul's a newer snake. Paul Heyman is the veteran snake. And, you know, you can see Paul Heyman gets a bit of a buzz with the boos that Logan Paul gets. And I like the segment where Logan Paul stood up and said, you know, we have to have a vision. We have to have a plan. We have to get behind somebody. And everyone's thinking he's going to say himself, but he turns around and says Braun Breaker, and everyone goes with that. So that's Logan Paul for the time being saying he's part of the group, he's part of the plan. But we all know the reason why he came together in this group is because he didn't want to get beaten up every week. So he's like, if I can't beat them, join them. But you feel like there's wheels going in the back of his head that it's all about him. And I feel like Paul Heyman kind of knows that, but because sometimes he'll compliment Logan Paul and then he'll get him to do what he wants him to do after complimenting him. So I'm enjoying that dynamic, and I'm interested to see how that plays out. You know, another thing I noticed that when Heyman was in the ring, he called Austin Theory the Pressure. So that's the name they're going with him, the Pressure, Austin Theory. So what does that mean by that? Does that mean Theory can handle the pressure, that he's good at applying pressure, that he's not going to break? Obviously, Austin Theory is now a project for Paul Heyman along with the other guys in the division. I'm interested, Wade and Paul, where they're heading with Austin Theory by calling him the Pressure. Where does that come off? Because they don't give nicknames without a purpose.
They didn't cover it tonight. They didn't say where that comes from or what it means. And or Paul, you look like you're about to jump in, Paul.
Oh, wait, I think you're muted.
Jason, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Yeah, Paul, I think your mic is off.
Jason, can you hear Wade? Oh.
Yeah, buddy, I can.
Oh.
Can you hear me now, Paul? No. Okay. Well, that's weird.
It must be that snow in New England.
So
it's beautiful weather down under. Well, I've got no problem.
So let's see. Let me. I removed you and added you back in. Can you hear me now, Paul?
Yeah.
Nope. Now, Jason, talk. Can you hear Paul?
I can hear Jason, just not Wade.
Jason, talk.
That is very odd. Hopefully, chat can you hear chat can hear everybody. Yeah, that's weird. Pressure does make diamonds. Pressure, yeah.
Yes.
Pressure does make diamonds is a real legend. I don't know what they're getting at. I don't know, Jason, what they're thinking. With that, it doesn't jump out to me as just intuitive.
So the thing about Austin Theory, right? I feel like for him, there's something that has to happen with him that makes people change their perception about him. Like we need to see a side of him that we weren't expecting, right? Kind of like to me, to get him to that next level, because I feel like, you put a heel group together hoping to have like a couple of breakout stars, individuals, particular baby faces, right? So to me, Austin Theory kind of needs like a Backlash 2004 moment that Randy Orton had with Mick Foley. Something where you get a different perception about this guy. Orton was able to take the beating from Mick Foley. He went into the thumbnails, which Triple H didn't do. And that made us think different about Orton. Batista showed a different side to him, a cerebral side, showing that he knew what Triple H was up to. He's not just all muscle and brawn. He had a smart side to him. So in order to get over, in order to sort of break through that threshold, you have to show something to you that fans weren't expecting, but sort of get you to that level where you're kind of seen as a threat to the other guys on your team. Even though you're teammates right now, people need to see you as a threat and see something. Well, I wasn't expecting something from him. So, I'm on the Austin Theory bandwagon. I believe he's got something, and I'm interested in the story they're going to tell, but they're going to have to show something about him that we weren't expecting in order for him to break through that. So I'm intrigued to see what they mean by the pressure. Plays it out.
Yeah, Paul, you heard what Jason had to say. Can you hear me? Oh, you still can't hear me? That is very weird. This could make a tough way to co-host. Jason, ask Paul what he thinks of what you said.
Can you hear me, Paul? What did you think about what I had to say?
I think he's doing well for himself. I'm intrigued by the new name as well. The pressure, although I imagine it's the pressure he puts on rather than the pressure that he can withstand. I do like your interpretation of the Logan Paul moment with where he suggested that the whole team put over Braun Breaker. It did seem very out of character to me, and it does seem like he's been playing a very secondary role in general, which does seem out of character. So I really like your idea that he's scheming the whole time. I think that really works. So I'm hopeful they have something in mind for him, because I don't really like him in this cheerleader role.
Well, I'm kind of waiting to see how it plays out. I actually do like it because it just adds another element to his character. And I like the two schemers together. I like the idea of Paul Heyman keeping this schemer sort of under his wraps. Like, I like that dynamic. I love seeing the two of them together on screen because, that Paul's enjoying the heat that Logan Paul's getting, but he's kind of like, I don't know if I really trust this guy. Like, I don't even really trust myself and what I'm going to do. And now I've got to sort of trust this guy. I just like that whole dynamic.
What, Jason, do you think of Logan Paul saying we are all going to work together in the vision to help to help Braun Breaker win? Is that going to happen? Should it happen? Is it too soon for something else to happen?
Well, I think, listen, you could tell Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker, like, they've got a bond there. Like, they're there together. Bronson's got no issue with that. Austin Theory's going along with it because he's a new guy and he believes in it, and he's got his sort of own vision of where he needs to get to. And if that means he has to support Braun Breaker and be part of the team, he'll do that. Logan Paul suggesting it suggests that because he's the one that came up with it, if something was to happen in the Royal Rumble where he accidentally eliminated Braun Breaker or he did something, he's got plausible deniability since it was kind of his own idea to support Braun. So you've got various ways you can go with that, but they also can do a slow burn here. So Logan Paul can say he was a part of the team doing his best, but all it takes is one little thing, and he kind of thinks that, he kind of snaps or whatever. Because remember, he's a schemer and he's a snake too. So that's what I'm saying. I'm liking this dynamic. It's intriguing to me, but they could play it either way.
Yeah. So, and I hope it does. I hope they have something in mind for Logan, because he's really, it is odd to see him in this backup role, but I like the way you think, Jason, and hopefully the writers are thinking the same thing, that there's a plan that Logan is going to be pulling some strings to put himself in the center of the vision.
Jason, a couple comments in the chat about Austin Theory. Fanbless says, I'm sorry, but Austin Theory is an absolute aura black hole. He has negative charisma. He is an anti-star. Then Ian Hui says, Theory reminds me of a young Randy Orton. Not gonna lie. And Standard Deviation says, I think Theory's story is positioned to lead to multiple destinations, and they can decide later. One option is a story of Theory failing to living up to his staged goal of taking everything. JC Scooby says, Austin Theory needs to stop doing these high-flying moves. They need to change his wrestling style. Your thoughts, Jason, on some of that feedback?
Look, regarding Theory, a lot of times you have to balance out. Is it the wrestler or is it the booking and the creative? Right? I mean, you really have to balance that out, because coming out of WrestleMania, people were saying that Charlotte needs to go away, and she only came back for 2 months. Right? Now all of a sudden people are getting tired of her. You team her up with Alexa Bliss and paint her in a more positive light, show a bit more of a babyface side to her. She's not so much of a queen. She's dressing different. She's being a bit more humble. Now she's got the crowd behind her. It seems like what happened at WrestleMania was a long time ago. So, you have to factor in creative here. If Austin Theory's given the right creative and put in a position where he can showcase his skills and they show they've got a plan for him. And like I said, I do believe we have to see a side of him that we haven't seen before to get him over a certain perception that fans have. Then they've got something with him. A lot of the times it's up to the writing and creative too. It's not just the wrestler.
Pile Driver Pete says, Theory was great as the hapless, lovable idiot. He hasn't pulled off a good character since. JC Scooby says, Theory needs to wrestle old school 80s style, hard hitting. And Standard Deviation says, if Theory isn't the guy, then they'll extract as much value out of that story as they can. Goodfellas says they gave Theory a nice win tonight. Beating Ray is still a big thing, in my opinion. Jason, you're an advocate of Theory. Tell me the strengths and weaknesses of him so far relative to your hopes and what you think their hopes and aspirations are for him.
Well, look, I think he's got a good look, right? So I'm quite superficial when it comes to this thing. I think someone's got a good look. You part way there, okay? So
and in fairness, you think Bronson Reed has a good look too. It's not just one look.
All of them.
Good.
I think all of them. Yeah. It's not. It's a variety of looks, right?
Exactly. Yeah. I think it's looking like a star, not just looking cut and muscular.
Correct. You just got to have something too. So I think Theory's got something, right? We know he's got something there. And I think he's in the right place at the right time in the ring. Not that I'm a big, expert when it comes to in-ring, but I feel like he knows what he's doing in the ring. He's there, bumps and feeds, good as a heel, can take the moves, has his own offensive style, which I think they're sort of holding back on. It's just, I think there's something there. They just have to position him in the right light. And you guys were talking about this several weeks ago, Wade. What is it about Austin Theory that separates him from a Logan Paul, a Braun Breaker, and a Bronson Reed? Well, what characteristic can he show that will be separate from them? And I'm thinking, because eventually I think the landing place for him is as a babyface. Well, if he can show a bit of tenacity, like, if he's get beaten up, but he shows he's got like a will to not give in, like if he can show a bit of fight to him, which can translate better into a babyface, that's something that might be able to separate him from the pack. But he has to show something, because I believe like when you eventually break away, you need to be seen as a threat to the people you're breaking away from, because you always want fans thinking when there's a heel group, oh, what if they were to turn on each other and this person faced that person? Like you want to create that intrigue. Yep. Right now, Austin Theory's at the bottom of the pecking order. Like everyone believes he just gets squashed by everyone. He needs to turn that around.
How about tenacious? How about tenacious Austin T instead of the pressure Austin Theory?
What? Call him Tat? Nah, I don't know.
Tenacious Austin T. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I know what you're saying. Yeah, that's too much like that singer, Tenacious D, isn't it?
Tenacious D. Yeah. Well, that's where it comes from. I'm just joking around. But Austin Theory. Tenaciousness is good, and I mean, I think they have 2, 3, 4 paths in mind for Austin Theory, depending on how he does. I don't think they know. There's people who know he's going to fail and has no redeeming qualities. There's people who are sure he's being overpushed and will come up short, and then there's other people who think it's worth taking a chance, and that there's been enough there, and that it took him a little while. It's taking him a little while to grow into seeming like he is more than a dopey comedy figure like Grayson Waller. And those schools of thought are all existent right now in places of power in WWE. And so Paul Heyman gets the task, volunteers for the task, whatever, to try to extract whatever can be gotten out of Austin Theory. And I think there's a course where Theory turns into a pushed babyface who breaks free, or is breaks free from Heyman, or is a sidekick who doesn't work out but is sort of a henchman and he's the designated jobber, or he goes into a comedy role after being extracted or cut. I mean, all these things are possible, but that's why I asked you how you think he's doing. Like, is the because I still think the sample size is too small for people who are advocating for him to go see all the doubters were wrong. I don't think there's close to that yet, but I also don't think he's disqualified himself yet. And that's not, it's not, I don't know. Yeah. I don't think that means a lot, given I think they're pacing themselves in a deliberate way right now.
Yeah, I agree. I 100% agree. He's still, look, at the end of the day, there's still that lingering promo that John Cena cut against him, which sort of ripped into him and said, I don't believe anything of you. You're kind of fake, blah, blah, blah. And even if you beat me at WrestleMania, it's going to mean nothing. I think that sticks in people's mind. A lot of times what people say to you is more than what you do in the ring, because the words sting more than the actions a lot of times, So they have to sort of make up for that. So I think they're on their way to doing that. And another sort of interesting thing to this is Cole going off his head saying, why aren't you doing anything about this, Adam Pearce? From a storyline point of view, is the phone call that Pearce got last week, someone higher above directing him to make decisions because he seemed to go out of his way to really please the Vision tonight. So what's going on in the background there? Because Cole really hammered that.
So, Jason, I'll throw some chat comments in here regarding this. Some theories. Goodfella says Braun's silence I interpreted as him taking it all in and forming his own plan. It feels like Logan wants to do something slimy in the Rumble. It'll be more interesting if he stayed loyal, in my opinion. Keep the Vision going. Derek Mitchell says, I feel like there's something in the works. Who is the person Adam Pearce is talking to? Is it possibly Seth Rollins? Are Logan and Austin spies for Seth? At least Austin being a spy for Seth. Again, he won with the stomp tonight, and I just don't think we should think the stomp is an accident. But they're not drawing a ton of attention to it, other than you could say, well, it was to throw people off the scent, thinking it was going to be Seth when it turned out to be Theory, and now we kept it. Could be that. But they're not drawing attention to it, and they're conspicuous in their lack of drawing attention. Like, why is he doing Seth Rollins' move? Well, Seth, whatever. And I know they don't like to talk about people who aren't around. But they also don't like to talk about people who are planning a big return. And they want you to not be thinking about them so that when they turn, it's quote, more surprising. Darrell Freeman says the Vision looked like they were about to turn on Braun, and Braun looks like he sees it coming. Standard Deviation said they were subtle in making it clear that Theory agreed with the decision. I think, and we always said this with anything, well, really, so many things that Paul Heyman is involved in. You want to look around at the scene and, especially in the Bloodline skits, and be like, is there something up here that when we look back, once we know where they go, we'll see that look that Solo shot Heyman, or the look that Jay shot Roman, or whatever, that gave us a hint into the mindset that they wanted to plant seeds for us. I think that's gone on with Heyman in the past, but obviously the Bloodline during the pandemic was when they just sat around and said, how do we make more compelling TV than just standing in the ring and yelling and wrestling with crowds going nuts? They had to innovate, and now it's carried over. Thankfully, cinematic wrestling has largely not carried over, but the intricate, when you look back, it'll make more sense, type, breadcrumbs, I think, are there. And so, but I think they don't want it to be obvious before they do it. They just want you to appreciate the breadcrumbs they dropped along the way once it happens. Jason, that's a lot of comments from the chat. I'll throw a couple more up. Standard Deviation said Braun is suddenly the good one, whereas before Theory entered the picture, the discussion was, is Braun ready? And anyway, yeah. So I'll throw to you after that one. Jason, what do you think? And then Paul, after Jason's done, take over and react.
Well, with the phone call, correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't it last week Heyman said to Adam, Pearce, like, you want to take this phone call? Mm-hmm. So if it wouldn't be Seth Rollins then, because Heyman would know, like, why would Seth, you know what I mean? It has to be somebody higher up that's directing this. And Breaker's in a thinking mode, because remember, Breaker is the thinking man's badass. He might go off a little bit, but he's always got thought behind things. He's questioning things, whatever's going on. Yeah. Yep. So there's got to be someone pulling the strings here, as Cole wouldn't have been like, why aren't you out here, Pearce? He was emphatic about this. There's something going on there.
Lesnar?
Well, yeah, maybe. Like, is Lesnar But isn't the type of character though? Is he the type of one to get on the phone and demand?
He's not.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think for the sake of the story they're telling and the agenda that Heyman has, I think they could cajole Brock into making 2 phone calls.
I was thinking maybe Triple H, maybe Stephanie McMahon, someone who would be seen as having authority in the company over Adam Pearce. But I'm so grateful that we finally have a product that rewards us for paying attention. There was so long that in WWE, if you paid too much attention, you were actually penalized for it because the stories made less sense. But it now, since the Bloodline saga, we have reason to believe that these breadcrumbs, as you say, are going to pay off. And the fact that Adam Pearce just came in and just apologized and said it won't happen again was not really continuing the conflict was very unusual in wrestling. So
he's giving in too much because he knows good things are about to happen, or Heyman just scared him and he's a middle management scared for his job. I think they want us to think that the latter, but maybe the former is what's going on.
Well, the thing with Heyman, right? Heyman seemed surprised about how willing Adam Pearce was to give everyone in the division a Rumble spot. Like Heyman was like, "What's going on here? This is better than what I expected."
Mm-hmm.
You know, like even he was surprised by it.
Yeah, or he's pretending to be surprised. But I think you're probably right. I think he probably is surprised by it. So, I mean, hopefully this all maybe the phone calls were different people. Did they make it? I mean, it doesn't have to be the same person that Pearce is talking to this week versus Heyman said take the call last week, does it?
Maybe. I think so.
I'm just throwing that out there. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, Seth's just saying I got everything under control. That could be Levesque, but last week wouldn't be Seth. So yeah, I don't know.
But you know what? Why would it be? But why would it be Triple H if it's already been established that he's backstage? Like, why talk? You know what I mean?
I call people in my house all the time.
Yeah.
Did you get my text 3 minutes ago? Dinner's ready.
I don't know.
I don't want to climb stairs if I don't have to. I mean, honestly, if he's on the other side of the building, he would call him. You know, the arenas are big. All right. Well, hopefully this all makes sense in a week or in a month or in 4 months. And we'll be like, wow, that was really, really well done. And we can point to our speculation when it was right and say we saw it coming and ignore all the other speculation that doesn't manifest. A couple other chats on this topic, Jason, before you switch. If you indulge. Goodfellas says Theory in the Way was awesome in NXT. Yes, he was. Derek Mitchell, Paul, you agree with the Theory in the Way? You were.
I loved him as the empty-headed jock.
Yes. Problem is, he might not have been acting, and that might be the thing that holds him back when he tries to be more serious. But that's what they're testing right now. Derek Mitchell says maybe they don't want to show too much in the vision because he's spying for Seth. Standard Deviation says coming in as Paul Heyman's young star is probably the single best booking position anyone could hope to receive in WWE in 2026. Maybe that's the pressure being brought in by Paul Heyman. It's just a reflection. It's sort of a play on words to what really is going on right now. JC Scooby says this is Theory's last shot probably. He has to show he has more of a hard edge in and out of the ring. He's not the same person with just a new haircut. Yes, I mean he has to look like he's not pretending. He's not a dope pretending to look sinister, ominous, and like a serious person. You know, I mean it's like that's the challenge. And does he have it in? And Paul Heyman last October with Stephanie McMahon talked about what he tells his guys that he works with, and he says, tell me, I'm paraphrasing here, and I wrote this in a Wade Keller News Bulletin. I pulled out some key quotes when I wrote about Austin Theory right after he's revealed. So if you're a VIP member, check that out. It's in the Wade Keller News Bulletin section. But I pulled those quotes out where Paul talked about what he says to people he works with. And he says, what makes you cry? What makes you angry? What makes you feel vulnerable? What gets you worked up? Like, how do I tap into your emotions? And then I will whisper to you something to get you going before the light turns red on the camera to get you in a state of mind so you'll be more believable. And so if we think that's happening, what is Paul telling Theory right before they walk into the camera or the camera turns on to get him out of what, a lot of people, it just works for them to be kind of the dopey person, the sarcastic person, the passive aggressive person, the passive person, the submissive person in a dynamic. people go through life and everybody plays different roles. It happens in families. It happens in workplaces, friend dynamics. If Theory's, got a certain thing that Paul's trying to jostle him out of, what has Theory told him that Paul is reminding him of it to get him to show a different side of himself? And, I'm fascinated watching that happen. And if Theory works out or doesn't work out, I'm excited to see the next person Paul brings in, just like Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed. And we're seeing, them shine so far to a great degree. Paul, any thoughts on that? And then I'll throw back to Jason.
Yeah, I think whatever he's doing is working. I think Theory looks intense, but believable. I think his offense, the ring looks great. I love that. What was it? He busted out a new move called the ataxia, which looked pretty awesome, and a unique sort of backstabber that was like in the chest, like a front stabber. So whatever he's doing, I think he's on the right track.
That move is foreshadowing, portending that he's going to backstab them, or front stab them, as you put it. Yes. A couple other comments in chat that I'll throw to Jason. Standard Deviation says, after seeing Theory, fewer people will question Braun's worthiness for the spot. That's why he's getting a push. Braun is suddenly the good one, whereas before Theory entered the picture, the discussion was, is Braun ready? No, they've distracted from that. Interesting theory, Standard Deviation. I don't think that's motivation, but it also is probably happening. A happy side effect. Powder River Pete said, Silent Badass is kind of Braun's thing. What's Theory's thing? I like the idea of Austin as Seth's spy theory. I think that's at least in their back of their mind as plan A or plan B. There is a history with them. And obviously it got shaken up a bit with Seth being sidelined, the timing of it all. Intentional Rounding says, like Jason said, Theory's just got to do something to make us think differently of his character, something to make us love him or hate him. And Goodfellas says, I like Theory, but I don't rank him that high in the ring. Are you taking into account his NXT and Evolve run with the rating of his grappling? First of all, this isn't AEW, and star ratings is be all end all. That you got to have a certain threshold. You got to be believable in the role you're playing. You got to be able to fight in a way that matches your character. And that's a work in progress too. But he's obviously a good athlete. But some people are good athletes and they just don't have it in the ring in terms of how to match their fighting style to what they're doing. And he hasn't. He's been in tag matches. He's been in semi-short matches. With Ray, there's not a ton that he's doing in the ring. I don't think anything about him is standing out as great. I also don't think that's a prerequisite for him benefiting and being a part of a major storyline the rest of the year and entering 2027 as a significant top of the second tier player and maybe better in a best case scenario. But I haven't seen evidence that, like I said, that rules it in or out at this point. Jason, jump on in.
Yeah, look, I can't reiterate this point enough. Like with Austin Theory, they need to show something where he is seen on equal footing with the rest of the division, that fans can think that he is a threat to them if they ever were to turn. He can't be the fourth ranked guy. They have to show something in his ring style, his personality, or whatever. Well, the ring style. There has to be a moment where people think, wow, if him and Braun Breaker actually got into the ring, maybe Theory might have a chance through his tenacity, through his ability. He might show a lot of guts or whatever, fortitude. There has to be something. Like I said, I'll point back to Evolution. When Randy Orton went through the thumbtacks and showed he could survive against Mick Foley, now all of a sudden fans thought, if he faced Triple H, he's in with a chance now. He's showing something. Batista showed it through his cerebralness and the fact that he could match it with Triple H as far as wits is concerned, and obviously as far as his power. And, you look at it with the Nation, with The Rock and Farouk. The Rock boosted himself up. He showed that he could be a leader there. You want to create that dynamic in heel groups where someone eventually breaks out, that they're at a level pegging. So when eventually Austin Theory does turn babyface, he has that sort of credibility behind him that fans can take him seriously against the other members. Yep. And they haven't done that yet, but it's a slow burn, and I think eventually they'll get there.
They didn't give him a clean win tonight. He got a win, but it was after shenanigans at ringside. So they're not getting, behind him in that way. But then again, they're not super pushing him. He's not a WrestleMania main eventer. Like this idea of, he either needs to be winning clean and having 4-star matches that go 18 minutes or else he's a bust, I think completely misses the point. They're stripping away everything that was what he was, which had a low ceiling, and they are letting him in real time, intentionally, with no rush, build brick by brick what they want the new Austin Theory to be. I think that's obviously what they're doing.
Yes.
I'm not saying that they love or hate what they've seen so far, but what they're doing is what you would expect them to do with somebody who they're trying to strip away everything that had a low ceiling and rebuild him in a different way. And we're watching that brick by brick. Well, he is the 5th guy in a group of 5 and was going to be no matter what. And they don't put a priority on him being Will Ospreay in the ring. That's not a prerequisite to being the top guy in WWE. You can be mad about that, but it's just factually true. And he's not an embarrassment in the ring either. So I don't know. I mean, we'll see. I mean, I'm along for the ride. Derek Mitchell asked a question about this that I think is worth saying. He says, Heyman has a vision for wrestling. I'm curious of what Heyman would think seeing Obafemi and why he wouldn't expect him to be a future WrestleMania main eventer. What makes you think he doesn't see him that way? Like, Obafemi doesn't need Paul Heyman. He doesn't need the vision. I think the compliment to Obafemi is they didn't think, we better put him with Paul Heyman for a year so we can figure out if he can be a main eventer. They know he could be a main eventer. They don't want him overshadowed by Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed, or Logan Paul. Paul Heyman doesn't need Obafemi. Obafemi doesn't need Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman wants to be useful in taking on a project. And maybe he'll manage Obafemi in 2 years, but Obafemi, it's a compliment to what management thinks of Obafemi that they haven't hidden him in the vision so they can build him into something, which is what they're doing with Theory, because they think Theory has potential, but he's not ready yet. They think Obafemi's ready. They don't need to put him in a faction and rebuild him brick by brick. So that's Paul Levesque said, sometimes we have 2 shortstops and we need a right fielder. Like when we were talking about call-ups, not everybody's push should be determined on who ends up in Paul Heyman's faction. Sometimes you get a completely separate push because that's the better role for them, and they definitely believe in him. Anyway, Paul, you want to comment on anything? Or Jason, I think I cut you off. Perhaps I've lost you.
No, I agree with everything you're saying, Wade, about their building Theory up brick by brick, and eventually they'll get there where they need to get there. And I think he will show a different side to him that will get the fans thinking, okay, now we can take this guy seriously. But it's a slow burn, and you just got to have patience. It's a week-by-week thing. It's interesting you mentioned, Obafemi is the type of guy for me that you drop him into this universe and everyone's like, oh, crap. Like, he's the oh, crap guy. Like, what are we going to do about this guy? He messes up all the plans. And that's why for me with the Royal Rumble, I keep going back to the WrestleMania promo that they've done with Lesnar and Heyman and Triple H and Punk and Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns. And they're all at the roulette table, right? Or the blackjack table, whatever, right? And right at the end, Triple H looks to the right. And then you see a chip on the table. As almost as if, as I say, it's anyone's game, as someone else who Triple H isn't expecting throws their chip on the table. To me, there's a reason for this. There is a surprise person that's going to be in a main event of WrestleMania, and it wouldn't surprise me if it's Obafemi. Could we just see him dominate the Royal Rumble, win, and just be like, this throws everything out? It truly is anyone's game. It's not who you're expecting. Because Triple H is looking to the right in that promo for a reason. Someone's entering the frame.
Pile Driver Pete says, Will Hobbs is in the Rumble would be interesting. I doubt it will happen. I don't think they trust Hobbs enough to immediately put him there. I think they trust Obafemi. They would have enough information firsthand with Obafemi. Will Hobbs, I think they're going to work with him and figure out what do they have. I throw that up there because it's intriguing. It matches what you're saying, Jason. Somebody who's a big surprise. Oba, the Rumble winner against Drew in a co-main event at Mania, says Goodfella. And then Rhea versus Io is my fantasy booking, and I'm staying on it. I'm not ruling that out. I haven't made an official pick for the Rumble in terms of what I think is most likely, but I do not rule out Obafemi winning and getting a match against Drew. I think there's an easier path for everybody else who would be a CM Punk opponent to get there through the Elimination Chamber or whatever. The Rumble is the only path for Oba to have a big WrestleMania crowning moment. Let's shoot this guy to the top quickly. Is win the Rumble, beat Drew at WrestleMania on night 1. Can be first match, can be second to last match, can be last match, can be the opening match of night 2, whatever. I mean, it's not going to finish night 2 unless there's a bunch of injuries. Paul, what do you think about that? Paul?
So I'm curious now, why couldn't Oba just do the Kane spot, eliminate a bunch of guys, and then win the Elimination Chamber? Is that not a path for him?
No, that is a path. It's just, why would he? Does he have the alliances that would make sense for him to be in the chamber? It seemed, I guess he could earn his way into that, but I shouldn't rule that out as much as I kind of am thinking. But yeah. So I'll put it this way: to me, it's a bigger deal to win the Rumble. To be in the chamber, I don't know if alliance is the right word, but like the backstory to be included, to have what's the back? I guess that's what you're saying, Paul. Is he has a good showing in the Rumble, and they point to that as a reason to put him in the chamber as one of the So if he doesn't win the Rumble, don't rule it out.
Or he wins
don't rule
a
it out.
qualifying match.
Yeah. But I think winning the Rumble is that is a higher profile way to earn your way in. It's the bigger, it's a bigger deal. Do you agree with that, Jason?
Yes, I agree with that. But listen, I'm not trying to fantasy book here. I'm only going by, and I might be misinterpreting this promo that they're doing, this WrestleMania promo.
Yeah.
That's just the way I'm looking at it. But there's a reason they're saying it's anyone's game. Again, Bianca Belair is not at the table of the women. Because she make her return and win it and face Jade.
Right.
You know what I mean?
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's plausible. But with Femi, it's like the same. Mike Tyson says, everyone's got a plan until they get punched in the face. Everyone's got a plan until Oba Femi rocks up. Now it's a different ball game. What do we do about this guy? Yeah. I mean, you could easily see him take out most of the vision, but then Braun gets to him or something happens, like there's just, he's the X factor to me. Like, and you want to make it, you can't afford to stuff up with this guy. Like if you got to make an impact with him. There's a reason. I mean, his first match in WWE, SmackDown Raw, whatever, was Saturday Night's main event against the champion Cody, and he went to a draw with him. Like, that's high stuff there. You put this guy in, he has to make an impact straight away. You got to be strategic how you're booking, and everything has to matter straight away because he's got the look, he's got the size. You're doing everything with the promo, with the music, and the way he's coming across. He's the ruler. You have to make it count, and you have to do it big.
Well put. Paul, you want to react at all? Anything to that?
Yeah, I agree. That would be an exciting story. I don't remember when they had someone in practically their debut match who won the Rumble.
Right.
But that would be a news story to tell and a good one. And I would, of course, Roman Reigns is a favorite, but I thought the way they introduced him tonight was so weak. I mean, he won't be a surprise because they said he'll be in the Rumble. And yet they just gave him a little video package. So it didn't seem like he really has the momentum the way that Oba will. Or
just the dates to bring him in. I mean, they might want to do more with him if he just was cheap enough, if they could, inexpensive enough for him to bring him in for it. They might be trying to lay low and not over push him before he wins. I mean, he's a very legit chance to win. Paul River Pete says, I'm so ready for Bianca to be back. She is missed. Sadler says, yeah, Oba's definitely getting the Kane spot. I think they go the boring route and make Roman win. I mean, it is a boring route, but sometimes the right route is a boring route, and you tell a bunch of other stories for 60 minutes, give or take, and it works out. I mean, the boring thing is Oba just has, eliminates a bunch of people, but, bumps chests with Brock or whomever, and it plants some seeds. It's formulaic, and it's sort of boring, but again, sometimes boring and doing your kind of rote routine makes sense because that is kind of like what WWE does, and fans know it. They look for that mid-Rumble moment of somebody who's going to be pushed a certain way, and it's validating, even if it's not super original. I'm not like excited about it, but I'm not like against it either if they do that for him. For a lot of people, it's going to be the first, probably not. I don't know. I mean, it's at Center's main event, but a lot of people to be their first time looking at it. I mean, SNME is not that big of a deal relative to the Rumble. So, it'll be a big impression, yeah.
But when people look at Oba, no one says he doesn't belong or he doesn't fit. But the guy's obviously got the look. He can go in the ring.
Yeah.
It just blows everything up. But it's not someone that it makes sense. It's anyone's game.
Yeah.
So he would throw his chip in it, and it blows up the whole road to WrestleMania, blows up the vision, blows up what Cody had involved. Like, this guy's in here, and now, oh, crap, he's here. What do we do about it?
Yep.
So to me, that's an intriguing thing. Just quickly, regarding Jey Uso and taking on Tozawa. Yeah,
pause 1 second. I'll just want to get a super chat in, Jason. It's on the topic we just covered. That's the only reason I'm doing it. Derek Mitchell says, it's interesting the only two entry declared for the Rumble through video packages are Roman and Oba. It shows how much they think of them. Because a lot of people are entered. They're not giving them a video feature. They're just declaring it backstage, and they're usually those people are losing. So anyway, yeah, if you get a video feature, it says watch for these people. We've taken time to create a vignette for them, even though they're not here. Anyway, just throwing that out there. Go ahead, Jason, on Jay.
Well, with Jay, right, they've sort of paused on telling the story that he's, thinking about things, sort of doubting himself, but now sort of gaining confidence in himself that he won the championship. They've obviously got a long-term story to tell with him, which I think we can play out, that he's eventually going to snap, turn heel or whatever. Obviously, I've said before, the money is in with him and Sami Zayn and revisiting that. So if they were to lose the tag titles to Tozawa and Otis because Jay didn't take him seriously enough, or he sort of fell behind, does Jimmy chew him out for that? Does Jay then doubt himself and says, what's going on here? I can't believe we lost the tag titles. There's a reason for Tozawa and Otis. So I think that's to me, I'm intrigued to see where it goes with there, because I don't think that just sort of paused on the Jay story somewhat, but they're still got to flesh this out.
Throw one more thing in. Sandy Deviation says last year's Rumble's go home show ended with a 20-minute Punk Cody promo, and then Jay won. So anything can happen.
Yes.
The Usos thing. I'm very open to things happening quickly. I'm also very open to they have decided there's not a story that there's too much going on right now for that to get the focus it needs, and they wait till May to tell an Uso story, and they just are a tag team for a while. I'm open to Otis and Tozawa being no big deal, and it's just a loss, and it's two babyface teams. Maybe there's a slight breadcrumb about something or other, but it doesn't manifest in anything. But I'm also open to it being a big angle that leads to I'm good with that. Like, I like that. Like, I think not everybody, but I think people are intrigued with, is something going to happen with the Usos, and when, and under what circumstances? And there's a lot of possibilities open. They have not. I think people who think that they've given away what they're doing are overconfident, even if they end up being right at some point. It's like Rich Mancuso on WFAN in the 90s predicted almost every week on his late night weekly pro wrestling show that Sting was going to go to the WWF. He never did. Not while he was on the air, but year after year after year, week after week, he said, my sources tell me Sting is going to the WWF, because he wanted to be right one of those weeks, and he never was, but he sure thought he was going to be. And my point is that sometimes you predict something and you say it with certitude and you're right, but you don't talk about other times that you predicted something with certitude and you were wrong, like last year's Rumble with Jay. So anyway.
Well, I'm just bringing up the story that they're obviously telling a story with Jay, and it's a long-term story here. Mm-hmm. So, right. Is it fair to say that we think the eventual story is just going to be him snapping? And something's going to bring that on. Is that an unrealistic prediction?
It certainly has to do with his relationship with Jay. And I think the story was on pause this week in part because Jay had personal matters, which makes me worry a little bit, given some.
Jimmy.
Oh, thank you, Jimmy.
So I don't know if he couldn't. Was it just he couldn't get into Canada, or like when you have a pregnant wife and the announcer says you have personal issues? I don't think you should even draw attention to it, because it's going to make people worry.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I certainly hope everything's okay. I don't know.
So I certainly hope it's not Alpha Academy. I like the performers, but I think it's a broken gimmick. Like, I don't even know why they still are called the Alpha Academy when the person who brought them all together betrayed them. They still use his music. I like Tozawa, but I think they need a little bit of a gimmick change or something.
It feels a little creatively abandoned, just a relic of what it once was. And
And just one more thing before I go. You're talking about CM Punk before. I kind of, one of my favorite matches from last year was CM Punk versus Gunther at SummerSlam. I really enjoyed that match.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was a real struggle. But then I heard some people saying that they thought Punk was struggling throughout the whole match, that, his cardio or whatever. And to me, I always try and find the balance. I don't mind. Look, this is just me personally, right? I like to see a struggle. And it's not always going to look pretty. And even if guys are getting blown up, to me, that's realistic. I don't mind if they get that towards the end of the match. Not everything has to be perfect. They are meant to be simulating a fight here.
I would rather have somebody pretend to be blown up late in a match than actually blown up late in a match. I agree, being blown up can be misinterpreted as somebody being in bad cardio shape and they're trying to tell a story. But other times it is. You can't, you can't stay on your feet. You're going to botch a move because you're getting older and you don't have the cardio you once did. And I think some people interpreted that the pace was set to accommodate for that being the case. Jason,
is that such a bad thing though? Like,
it's not great.
CM Punk has enough runs on the board. Is that an American term? I'm talking cricket here that you guys wouldn't understand. Does he have enough? Does he throw in enough touchdowns? Then has he got enough there? Has he thrown enough?
Punk has enough other traits right now that even if he is slowing down in the ring and doesn't have cardio, doesn't have the strength, doesn't have the speed, doesn't have the grace that he once apparently barely having to begin with, he obviously is still worthy of a top spot. I don't know for how much longer, but I mean, there's nobody in WWE who thinks the be-all end-all is, can CM Punk still have the 4.5-star match that he could have 14 years ago? Nobody who is into making money in WWE thinks that matters at all. There's a threshold that you need to have, but crowd pops and promos and keeping track of what you're supposed to do, poor LA Knight in that WWE Unreal, where he just got browbeat afterwards for not doing the right spot in the ladder match. Like, honestly, being able to just do what's planned and execute it, and getting crowd pops and being able to cut promos and being easy to work with and professional, all that matters more, even if you can top out at 3.25 stars now instead of 4.25. I mean, I'm not saying they don't undervalue wrestling quality. I'm just stating factually, nobody in WWE is thinking that matters with CM Punk right now. Because they have plenty of other people that have great matches. They just want people to pop and care about the journey that a wrestler is on, and they want them to have a passably main event level match, and CM Punk can still do that.
And you know what? And that's my attitude too. As long as it's passable and people aren't getting hurt, that's all I generally care about. And I'm interested to see the story they tell after the match. Like, what's the match result going to be? I got to admit, a lot of people, I did not see Finn Balor's interference coming. I have to admit that. They had me convinced that AJ might win this. I bought into it. I thought, what is if AJ does win the title and he goes on to Royal Rumble and Gunther beats him for that? I bought into it. I loved it.
It crossed my mind. Yeah. I mean, I didn't think, oh, now it's going to happen. But I'm like, okay, I mean, the Punk title reign wasn't like this long-term master plan. They've been changing things up anyway. Maybe that's a way to change things up to go a different direction. And I didn't have a lot of time to think through it all, Jason, but I was like, why not?
Yeah, exactly.
It's title versus career.
If they do, say, with AJ, is he going to want to have a match with Finn Balor on SmackDown then? Like, to tick that one off then? The final match with him? Or that?
Talk about, I think people are like, oh, I get AJ putting his career on the line because he needed to get Gunther in the ring and all that. But like, if he has three matches in the 7 days leading up to his retirement match and he loses, people are going to be like, dude, like, your career's at stake. Take 5 days off beforehand. Yeah,
I'm just saying it probably won't. With all the history and everything. But did they have a match recently or something? Like, I feel like he's ticking off boxes. You know what I mean? So it would be fitting after Nakamura.
Jason, I'm not disputing they might do it, and I'm not disputing that like they can't just tell the story. AJ wanted to stay sharp. Corey Graves can go, AJ's burned out. It's like, back-to-back nights in the NBA, they say, or when I know one of the NFL coaches this or last weekend said, it was, I guess, last weekend, if you have a bye week, the team doesn't have the advantage that had the bye in the first half, but they sure do in the fourth quarter. That's when it starts to show up that you had an off week and your opponents didn't. So they can tell that story. Is Styles staying sharp when Gunther was, not just thinking this is going to be a breeze, and is that part of the story? Gunther underestimates Styles. Styles pulls out a win despite having 3 matches, but it was having those 3 matches that sharpened the knife and made him better. Or is the story AJ got too set on personal goals and didn't focus on saving him up his energy for Gunther? I don't know that they're going to tell the story. I don't know if he'll have a match on Friday, but they can tell that story even with these 2 matches, Jason.
Because that could be the story. Like, AJ burnt himself out. Gunther was a smarter wrestler and eventually caught up to AJ. Because he still has the visual of tapping Gunther out, right? You kind of feel like they gave him that to say that he sort of has that visual that he did tap him out. So that's the story. That could be the story they're telling here. I don't see how they get out of this. Like, you can't have AJ defeat Gunther because that kind of throws what happened with John Cena down the drain, right? Like, the next time Gunther loses, it has to be really worthwhile. Don't you agree with that? Or can AJ defeat him?
I do. I agree that is my first thought, but it is not my job, and I don't have the knowledge of everything that they have planned, and I do not rule out there's not a story they can tell that would make it make sense for Gunther to lose. But is it risky? And it seems counterintuitive based on what you said, Jason. Yeah, obviously so. But I'm not going to rule out that Styles can beat Gunther, and Gunther goes on a rampage, and or, whatever. I don't know. I mean, I think there's I wouldn't rule it out. But I mean, everything's pointing towards it. Yeah.
All right, guys. Good talking to you again. All the best.
Thanks, Jason.
Take care. Take it easy.
You bet. Take care. Always great hearing from Jason D.
Thanks,
from
Jason.
Australia. All right, read some comments here, Paul, on these topics for you to respond to. Standard Aviation says, I think this is Punk's best couple of months since returning to WWE. What do you think, Paul?
Yeah, he's on a mic. He's on the roll. He's on a roll. I love this this grizzled vet thing he's got going. So I agree that as much as his in-ring work is limited, he's doing great. Otherwise.
Also, Goodfella says Punk always looks like he's gassed, but he always keeps moving, just slowly. Punk gets lengthy match times, which helps his crescendo style. I love it. Derek Mitchell says it's not great to make accommodations for CM Punk's lack of cardio. I saw a picture of Houston Texans quarterback on the bench or beach, and he looks like an 11-year-old body, which is a head shaker for an NFL quarterback. Well, that went up direction I didn't expect. Intentional Rounding says, am I dreaming, or did Survivor Series end with Roman eyeing both Cody and Punk's title, and now Cody doesn't have a title? So does that mean Roman is winning the Royal Rumble or Elimination Chamber challenge for Punk? Standard Deviation says, yeah, maybe Roman wins the Rumble to face Punk on night 2. And Derek Mitchell says, I've been thinking for years. It's CM Punk and Aaron Rodgers. Looks like Aaron Rodgers, especially when Punk was in AEW. Yeah, we've heard that before about them. I mean, I think CM Punk and Roman Reigns definitely feels possible. I mean, I think there's a story there. I mean, I don't love two baby faces against each other, and I haven't thought through how do all the other pieces fall into place, because I think things got shaken up when Cody and Drew lobbied for, Cody lobbied to lose the title, and Drew said, yeah, and Drew's like, yeah, I'm for that. I think you're making a good case, Cody, of course. And I reported on the timeline. Yes. And I reported in the Wade Keller News Bulletin for VIP members, go VIP, the timeline of that and how it shook things up. So, yeah, I mean, things are going to be different than they were going to be 2 weeks ago at WrestleMania. Yeah, so I don't know. Goodfella says, I think it's 50-50. Gunther loses, and I love that as a viewer. I think Gunther chasing the dragon of retiring AJ is a good story, and then retire him at SummerSlam. Yep. Derek says, I do see Gunther beating AJ at the Rumble and going out of WrestleMania season looking to end another career. I think that's the likely odds. I think that's likely what most people are thinking is going to be the case. But I don't think you can rule it out. What about this? Goodfella says, Jericho throws Roman out of the Rumble. Judas. Pile Driver Pete says, I'm for Punk versus Roman. They're not, famous last words, but they're not going to give Jericho a Royal Rumble win at 55, 56 years old. I mean, they're not going to have a guy who's flailing in AEW the last couple of years in ROH, with the people who are in line to have top spots at Mania. Jericho's going to be a novelty legacy act until he proves he can be more than that, and then he will be more than that if he proves it. But they're not going to move him to the top. And good fella says, LOL, I know, but it's still fun to comment on. And there's people out there betting on that. I bet they're like, oh, Jericho, don't count him out. Yeah. Cool. Okay. I'm trying to think if there's another comment reader or chat reader. I'm trying to see if there's another comment on there that I wanted to throw in. Okay. Eric Moy said, I'd be excited if it were Roman against Punk. They can heat that story up easily. You have to ask how much time we have left to have Roman and Punk. Do you like that match, to headline night 2 of WrestleMania, Punk defending against Roman?
Yeah, and I feel like they've been laying the seeds for it. This summer, when Roman came back, he expressed more anger at Punk. He expressed that Punk took Heyman away from him rather than Seth Rollins doing it. I always thought that was odd, and I wondered if it was because they had plans or ideas. So, yeah, great match.
Yep. Just hitting some other notes here. What did you think of AJ Styles' opening promo and then the exchange with Punk setting up their match?
Yeah, it was good. I think they both were pretty effective in getting the crowd excited about a match, and me as a viewer, I was more excited about that match than I would have thought. So thumbs up.
Let's see. Cole and Gunther in the sit down promo. What did you like or not like about that?
Yeah, I thought that was another thumbs up. Gunther seemed just so overconfident and just cruel and threatening Michael Cole and his career. It did remind me a little bit of Mankind and JR. So I thought it worked. It was a nice change of pace and effective.
Cole stiffening up in his chair when Gunther goes, "I could end your career right now. I could kick that chair out from under you and end your career now." And Cole just stiffens up. And he goes, "Cole, how long do you plan to stick around and chase another moment?" I mean, that's you. It's good. You want the heel to be a jerk. Not that Cole's beloved, but I don't think he's hated either. But it's just that's Gunther saying, "I can end another career." That's how many moments are you going to steal from Joe Tessitore or Michael Cole or whoever is next in line? Did anything else stand out in the 4-way tag match with New Day and the others we talked about?
I don't know how long New Day has had this entrance, but I don't know if they've tweaked it, but I think their entrance is really fantastic. They seem to be waiting in the wings to heat them back up again. I really loved seeing the Creed brothers again. I think they're fantastic, but I was a little sad poor Julius ended up eating the pin rather than one of the Americanos, perhaps.
Yeah. Tozawa pinning you after a actual wrestling move is can be seen as not something other than an endorsement of your future. It feels like there's something with them that I haven't heard that has derailed them from being seen as future stars at the moment. We'll see. What do you think about Becky Lynch? Let's talk about this Natalya vignette also, by the way, because that answered nothing. Like, Natalya Natty turns on Maxine Dupree after training her to win. She wins, and then Natty costs her the title and then says, "I made you, but you failed me." How did she fail Natty? I feel, did I say this? Did I miss a chapter in this? Did they miss a chapter in this? How did Maxine fail Natty?
I wonder if by losing, had she been defeated by her? Yeah, you're right. It sure doesn't make a lot of sense.
Natty interfered to cost Maxine her title, and now says you failed me. I mean, Maxine hadn't lost except for that. Chad, help us out. Does it seem like this is just a bad story? Did they forget something? So yeah, it didn't explain anything. This is a whole new. I mean, Natty goes, "This is a whole new me," and when I'm doing you, Maxine, I'm coming for it all. It was kind of generic. I mean, I'm not against Natty's heel character, and her sinister look is kind of believable for her. I mean, it's just like, I'm gonna get you. I just wish, I think there was a way to tell the story with Maxine and Becky that Maxine was made a mistake in the match, or she showed mercy. Like, for instance, now this is where maybe I missed it in a match. Maxine has Becky in a submission hold. Becky grabs the bottom rope. The ref says break the hold. Maxine breaks it instantly. And Natty says, "You have to the count of 5. Mm-hmm. And Maxine's like, looks at her like, "No, I want to be a good sport. I want to beat her the right way." Then 2 minutes later, something happens in the match where Maxine has a chance to take advantage of Becky with her back turned, or her ankle gives out or something. And Maxine steps back, and Eddie goes, "No, seize the opportunity." And then Becky gets on a roll and then wins. And then Natty attacks her afterwards. So to me, Maxine loses clean to Becky because Natty keeps hounding her about being ruthless. And Maxine, it's not in her makeup to be ruthless in an unsportsmanlike way. She wants to be ruthless in a good sport way and within the rules. And ultimately that costs her. Natty attacks her, and Maxine says, says in a promo afterwards, Natty, you turned on me because I want to win the right way. I don't want to win in a way where there's an asterisk or where I feel bad about it. You've taught me how to be fierce, but I want to win if I deserve it, not because I'm willing to cheat. I think there was a story to tell there. They did not tell that story. Natty just cost her a match and then blames her for losing it. I don't get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're right. They told a story like that recently on NXT with the culling, and it worked really well. It was effective. Yeah, you're right. The more I think about it, the less sense it makes. Although I do like Natty's intensity, and I'm intrigued. Regardless.
Standard Deviation says, there we go. That's much better. Yeah, I mean, maybe I'm missing something. Jason D says, I think the story is Maxine got too good and Natalya wants to bring her back down. I mean, if that's the story they're telling, then someone ought to tell it. Because that's not the story that I think they're telling. That might be the story that is in Natty's head. Goodfella says, LOL, it's bad. I'm bummed. I want to like the Natty character. Sadler says Natty should have just mentioned being jealous that a rookie like Maxine is getting title wins and opportunities over a vet like her. Yeah, if there was a way to tell the story, or the announcers just tell the story. Natty says Maxine let her down. How did she let her down? She trained her. She started winning. She won a title. She looked like she was on the verge of a win. Natty interfered. You know why she interfered, says Michael Cole or Corey Graves or whomever? Because Natty got jealous that Maxine got better than she planned. And Maxine was winning titles at a time when Natty wasn't. That's why she turned on her. She got jealous of her own pupil. Yep. Instead of taking pride in being a great coach, she got jealous of her pupil. That's probably the story they're telling, but nobody's telling it. And I just don't think with what they presented, you should expect viewers to go, oh, that's how I'm supposed to feel. Because frankly, I don't think people are memorizing every result that happened. They just are feeling like, wait, how did she let you down? I mean, doesn't make any sense. Derek Mitchell says, I think the answer is Natty is using her alter persona outside of WWE when she wrestles in GCW and NWA. Something we say about AWA thinking everyone watches everything. I'm certainly not going to judge an angle on chapters that don't air on the show, but I don't think WWE's in the business of doing that. They obviously are introducing. You're right that they're introducing that Natty character, but that is separate from not telling a good story about why Natty broke up with Maxine. I felt like this vignette from Natty was supposed to inform us why she did it, and it didn't. So to me, the promo, the vignette, was presented as an explanation for why Natty did what she did, and it did not explain why Natty did what she did. And we have to infer things that I'm not even sure are correct inferences. Jason D says, Natalya is also annoyed she can train someone to become very good, but she hasn't done much herself. She's been too focused on helping others. Tell the story. Tell the story. That's not the story they told. Goodfella says Natty's intensity is a positive to take. Jason D says she is done elevating others. She did say that. She's sick of putting others first. She said she thinks just because she rolled the legend means she can roll like a legend, but that will never happen again. This is a whole new me, and when I'm done with you, Maxine, I'm coming for it all. I elevate. Natalya elevates, but Natty decimates. It's a lot of platitudes. It's a lot of things that might be true to her character, but it does not explain to me why she turned on Maxine when she did. So, I mean, point made. I mean, I think you're reaching, Jason, for things that are there, but they don't address the actual issue, which is this isn't a good story. Derek says, Natalya's a nice overlooked persona, and Natty's supposed to be the more ruthless version. Right. I mean, you got to tell that story. You don't fall in the trap of AEW. Powder Over Pizza says, I enjoyed Becky's promo better. Goodfella says, so many options, and they chose the one they did. LOL. What'd you think of Becky later? I'm enjoying Becky right now. Paul, how about you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Becky, is it just me or is she channeling Donald Trump with her calling loser Lyra and mid Maxine and sort of speaking in such hyperbole? I get a lot of Donald Trump off of Becky. Whatever she's doing, it's working. I like it.
I think there have been some social media hints towards that also. Jason D says, of course she is. He says it's obvious. Yeah, she's a blast. I mean, the local humor isn't my favorite thing. I don't know why Jackie Redmond. There's an announcer suddenly wearing a Toronto Maple Leafs jacket, but it does apply. You wouldn't know anything about monumental wins if you're a Maple Leafs fan. That is sadly true for Toronto fans. Yeah. Anything else, Paul, from the show that you want to bring up? I don't want to leave anything as I kind of scroll through my report at PWTorch.com looking at things.
I don't think we covered the 6-woman tag match with the Judgment Day taking the loss, but I thought the match was a lot of fun. The faces all got a big response, and there was a lot of clever, fun heel work, not all of which worked, but all told, I thought the match told a great story, and there was a lot of great energy, and nice to see Ripley go over strong.
Now, they wanted this to be a way to kind of set up the Women's Rumble and create some interpersonal hints of what's to come. Then we also had the backstage segment with Raquel and Vicaire later. What kind of story do you think they advanced in that match, Paul, to add intrigue to the Rumble with any of them? Like, what are they doing with Raquel and Roxanne and Liv in their interpersonal dynamics, or what did they do to heat things up?
Yeah, well, it seems like part of it was to continue the rivalry of between Rodriguez and La Primera. It seems like that they're not done with that. I think we're kind of treading water a little bit with some of these lesser contenders, before WrestleMania. As far as the Rumble, the biggest story to me just continues to be the close relationship between Rhea Ripley and Io Sky. Something's got to give, and when it does, I think it's really gonna land, because the emotional bond between them is so strong that I think it'll resonate when something happens to change that.
A couple reader comments on this. Real Legend says, by the way, Raquel still in the Rumble since she got her world title match next week? Eric Moy says, I said earlier I thought Vicaire looks really sharp in the ring compared to her contemporaries. And Derek Mitchell says there are 7 to 8 of the top women in WWE are involved in the tag division, with Tiffany and Bianca coming back soon. But the top contenders are Raquel and Jordan Grace, which are 11th and 12th at best. Yeah, I mean, we've talked about that before, Derek. They're going to cool people off so they seem fresher when they go back to the singles realm. And I would be a hypocrite to not be an advocate for top singles wrestlers being in tag teams so that they can be refreshed when they go back into the singles realm, so we don't have the same people feuding with each other all the time. But it's getting to the point where, yeah, I mean, all that said, we got to move some of these women back to the singles ranks. Jason D in Australia is still in the chat. He goes, I have to say Liv Morgan's presence is far greater than her size, for sure. She just commands attention. The way she spoke to Finn, her mannerisms in the ring, she has become so good. Agree with that. And 7-Eleven says, I think Riho lost their titles at Mania, I think Riho will lose their titles at Mania, causing Rhea to turn on Io and set up a match at Backlash. Rhea turning heel? Do you think that happens?
Oh, I sure hope not. I mean, she is money as a babyface. It is hard to imagine Io turning a heel either. So perhaps they've got something else in mind.
Yeah. Cool. Anything else you want to bring up?
No. Fun show.
Yeah, definitely. All right, cool. A couple notes here. Volunteers are welcome if you want to contribute to our website. We need people to help round out our coverage. There's so much going on. And if you want to contribute, like Paul, email me, kellerwade@gmail.com. And let me know what your interests are. Live TV coverage or alternate perspective TV reports, special weekly columns, whatever. I've got a whole list of some openings and some slots we'd like to fill. So your path to being part of this community and actually writing is emailing me first, kellerwade@gmail.com. I want to note before people tune out, as I'm doing some plugs here, if you're interested in donating to Minnesota Fighting Ice, there's a couple places I'd recommend. I've had people email and ask this. You should Google the Open Door Pantry in Minneapolis. And if you do that, that's a great organization. They're donating tons of food to people who are afraid to leave their homes because they will be snatched and brought to a detention facility and flown to Texas, and who knows what else? And so there are white people bringing food to people who are rightfully scared to leave their house, and giving them household supplies, and they need help on that. Also, La Vina Church in Burnsville, Minnesota. You can look them up on Facebook. The graphics on the screen, LAVINA Church in Burnsville, Minnesota. That's a little closer to home for me, and they will accept donations, and they are also distributing food. I have neighbors in the community who are involved in that. And so those are a couple ways you can help if you're interested in helping out. Also, just check out my rent report at to Shift Gears at PWTorch if you want to, and same thing for any of the TV shows, including the Royal Rumble on Saturday, my live coverage Saturday afternoon, and then we'll have Wrestling Night in America on the PWTorch YouTube channel live with Greg Parks hosting that show. Should be a lively post show after the Rumble. Always one of the favorite post shows in terms of just so much to talk about on that one. I'm here every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday night. I do not plan to cover Impact Live this Thursday night, but I'm not really not doing it again. We've had really good participation live and downloads on that. So I'll cover Impact again, but it won't be a weekly thing probably at this point. But every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I'm here live on the YouTube channel, and then download the shows. And with the VIP membership, you can also hear what I do right after these post shows, which is I run down the show start to finish. I know not everybody has time to watch these shows. You've got other family who want to watch a different show on Netflix or HBO Max or something, and you just, you keep up in other ways on wrestling. One thing you can do is wake up and have a 15-minute summary of me running down the show start to finish with your VIP membership, and then go from there to the post show. But it will catch you up on everything that happens, and I comment on all the little minutia on the show in a chronological way and an efficient way. That is one of the benefits of VIP membership. A bunch of others are available to peruse. PWTorch.com/govip. You can email me too for the Wade Keller flagship tomorrow. Kelly Wells joining me. Wade Keller podcast @gmail.com if you have questions for Kelly and me about the Rumble or any other topics. Paul, thank you so much. Always fun doing a show with you. Look forward to talking to you next time and seeing you next column.
Likewise, and I'm really looking forward to the Royal Rumble roundtable post show. It is one of my favorites of the year, so looking forward to that.
Now, putting you on the spot as we go, who's your pick to win the Rumble, and who is your final pick to win between AJ and Gunther? Men's and women's.
So I picked Gunther to Gunther to defeat.
Yep.
And as far as the Rumble, I'm going to go with Bianca and Braun Breaker.
Braun Breaker. All right. Cool. There you have it. He's either right or he's wrong, and we will find out on Saturday. Thanks, everybody, and we'll talk to you all next time.